Hello, this is Ray Main here again with today's Bible reading. Today we're going to be reading in the book of Genesis, chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid unto thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and thee. And that's something Sarai evidently was the one that instigated this, and then she blamed him for it. But anyway, no fool like an old fool. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thine hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And Sarai dealt hardly with her. She fled from her face. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence camest thou? And whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. Wasn't that about the same thing that he told Abram, about his seed? You know, because it came from Abraham, it's going to be about the same. Only this one's different, because this one wasn't the what can I say, the promise. This child wasn't the promise. This is what happens when men they get a promise from God and they try to bring about things themselves. This is what happens. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy afflictions. And here's the promise. And he'll be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all of his brethren. Look over in the Middle East today. Who would you classify as the wild man? His hand is against every man, and every man's hand against him. These poor people they don't have a chance, really. But they have swallowed a lie. You know who I'm talking about. And, you know, their hand is against everybody. And that's what we're having to deal with today. See, after all these thousands of years, Abram's mistake, Abram's sin, if you will, all those thousands of years ago, we're still having to deal with it today. This wild man, the children of this wild man are destroying things all over this world, and they're against everybody. And we're still having to deal with that today. 13th verse, And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, Thou God seest me. For she said, Have I also here looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the well was called Beer Lahairoi. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. Once again, forgive me for my pronunciation. And Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called his son's name, which Hagar bare, Ishmael. And Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram. In other words, Abram was 86 years old whenever he fathered this son. Like like I said, there's no fool like an old fool. All of this had to have been in the plan of God. That's the reading for today. God bless you. Have a blessed day.